the benefits of living in the gay neighborhood as I hear very loud Ariana Grande coming from outside. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be trying BH Cosmetics for the first time. So this is the Sapphire palette. It is part of their Birthstone series, and this is the one for September, which I grabbed because it's my birthstone. So I'm a September baby, my birthday's in about a week. So not only is this my birthstone, but the color story is really pretty. And I've been wanting to try BH Cosmetics, especially because I see them all the time on Instagram and YouTube, and people talk about how amazing they are, and I just hadn't tried them yet. So I'm really excited to give this a go. So this retails for $9, and then I think shipping was like $5. I could have done express shipping, but that was $15, and I didn't really want to spend twice as much on shipping as I did for the palette itself. I also grabbed last month's palette, the Peridot palette, which is this really pretty green one. So I'm gonna give that a go in a couple days or tomorrow maybe. But today's video, I'm gonna focus on the Sapphire palette because it's this month's birthstone. And if you're new here, my name is Colin and I'm a Latinx non-binary scientist and lover of makeup with a soft spot for colorful and indie makeup. And I'd love to have you subscribe. I'm fairly new here to YouTube, but I still have videos every week. So this is the Sapphire palette, and I'm gonna open that up. And you can see it's a really pretty mix of purpley blues. This is also kind of a purpley blue, a blue shimmer, green, and this is like a dark green, almost black. And I know some people were complaining that this wasn't a true blue, but sapphires do come in lots of colors. I've spent way more time than I should looking at them just because I've taken geology classes as part of my academic career. And these color sapphires are really beautiful in person. Like even rubies are technically a sapphire. They're just, if they're red enough, we classify them as a ruby. It's all based on the type of mineral and the chemical composition of the gemstone. So I think this is a really interesting color story. This is the one that's intrigued me the most of all of these Birthstone palettes, next to the one from last month, which is right here. And it's this like orangey neutrals, sorry, I haven't taken the sleeve off, so it's kind of reflective. Orangey neutrals and greens, these are my favorite kind of neutrals, and I love greens. So I had to grab this one as well. So I'm gonna do some quick swatches just to see what the tones actually look like outside of the pan, and then do an eye look and give you my opinions. I'll have timestamps below. I always have timestamps below, and for a while they worked properly where it showed the different chapters in my bar across the bottom of the screen and stuff. But lately YouTube's not been doing that, and even the old videos that had that, they've disappeared. So I don't know why. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that in their videos. But I will have timestamps below, and I always will. So I'm just gonna swatch real quick right here on my arm. There's no primer or anything. I just wanna get a sense of what they look like. Swatches don't really tell you how well something's gonna work, in my opinion, but they do give you an idea of what the color will be outside of the pan, because sometimes it's not the same. So first I'll do the Sapphire shade, which is the big pan. And so far, each of these palettes has come out with a mixture of a couple mattes, like 3 or so mattes, a couple shimmers. The big shimmer is the one that's for that gemstone, and then a pressed glitter. I probably won't use the pressed glitter. I don't use them very often, but it is a really pretty kind of multicolored one. So this is the shade Sapphire, and you can see it looks blue, or it looks a little more blue on my finger than it does in the pan, but it is a little more of a purpley blue, but I don't mind that. Yeah, that's really pretty. There's definitely a purple undertone there. This green is called Confidence. And then I've got the shade Cool, which is a very, very blue shimmer. So this looks way more purple next to it, but it looked pretty blue at first. It's just in comparison. So that green matte did not swatch well, but we'll see. That blue is really beautiful. I've heard really good things about the BH Cosmetics formula. I see people like Angelic Nyquist talk about them all the time, but I just haven't tried them. I have heard that they've changed their formula and improved it, and that sometimes it's a little inconsistent. Like the recent launch of Puerto Rico and Paris, they said everybody seemed to agree that Paris was the amazing formula and Puerto Rico was just okay, which is sad. I think they should be a little more consistent. Yeah, so this looks basically black in the pan. This is Organized AF, which I am. But swatched out, it's just a very dark green. And then this is the shade Sporty, which I am not. And it's a bluish silver. And then the last is Sympathetic, which is kind of a matte version of the Sapphire shade, that kind of blue purple. And I'll do the press glitter too, just to see. It feels a little dry. Yeah, it's not very tightly packed, but it is very pretty glitter. You can kind of see there that as the light hits it, you see the multicolored sparkle. So it's got a bit of a non-existent base, and then it's pinky blue, and then multicolored sparkle. So it's really pretty. I just don't know how often I'll use that. So I haven't watched any reviews for this one particularly yet, partly just because I wanted to come in fresh, and partly I've just been busy. But it's really pretty, and I think I have an idea of what I'm gonna do. I wanted to have this video up last week before I went to New York. So I just went back home to New York for 5 days to see friends and stuff because I haven't been able to go back since COVID. Just been stuck in Seattle. And this was supposed to come Tuesday last week, but FedEx hates me. And it just sat in there like the local, it wasn't even because of the hurricane on the East Coast or anything like that. It just, which was even the week before that, but it got to Seattle, or like right outside of the city, and then it just sat there for 5 days. So it got delivered while I was in New York. So it was supposed to be here Tuesday, and it got here Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. So I got it last night when I came back. So I think for colors, I'm gonna try and use basically all of them. And I think I'm gonna do the greens on the top, and then Sympathetic, that color down here, to kind of tie the two together, since the shimmers will be this color. But we'll see how that works out. So I already did my base. I used my normal Fenty Eavesdrop in shade 11 and my Auric Glow Lust in Pyrite. I mixed those two together and put those down as my base. I just did my base basically from here down. I don't put it on my forehead. And then for blush and highlighter, I used the Kimchi Sun-Kissed in June palette. I used this June shade, and then I used a combo of these two highlighters. And then for bronzer, I used my Lethal bronzer in Tectonic. And I'll have the details below like normal. So I'm gonna start with Confidence, and I'm gonna blend that all over the crease and see how that works. And I'm just gonna try and use the little mirror in here. So I regret not being able to get this up last week because it kind of changes my whole schedule. But I'm really glad I got to go on that trip. It was a great little vacation back home. So far this is going on pretty pigmented and looks pretty nice. The color is really pretty. So it's going on better than it swatched, which I figured it would. Trip was a lot of fun. We stayed with friends in Jersey City for a couple nights because they have a spare bedroom and, you know, they're good friends. And then we stayed in Manhattan the last night at a hotel just because trekking back and forth to Jersey City was exhausting. There was one night we were out in Hell's Kitchen at a friend's house and stayed out a little later than we should have, and the trains shifted and it took us like 2 hours to get back to their house, and I just did not want to do that again. And a benefit of staying out late the other night, because we had a hotel nearby, was that I got to see a couple friends I wouldn't have otherwise, and I got to see another drag show, and I got to meet Nikki Tutorials. She was there for the Met Gala and happened to be at the same drag show afterwards that I was at. We both went to tip the drag queen at the same time, and I recognized her and afterwards walked up and was like, "Are you?" And she was like, "Yes," and we and she was very sweet, and we talked for a couple minutes, and I got a selfie with her, and she was just so nice. And so that was the best way to end my trip, because that was my last night there. Okay, so I'm seeing if this can build up a little bit, since I'm using it as basically the transition and for some of the depth. And it seems to be building pretty well. It's a really pretty color. It's a little bit on the teal side, at least on my skin, but I have olive undertones, so things don't always appear the same they would for other people. Like, I can't wear emerald shades without them. I mean, I can, but they just look teal. They don't look emerald. I also made an order. I also made a ColourPop order recently, which just got here while I was gone. But some of the stuff came broken. So I emailed ColourPop. So I also made a ColourPop order for another video, and the stuff came while we were gone. It's sitting right here next to me, but some of it's broken. So I emailed ColourPop to see if I can get a replacement or what, but hopefully I can get that video up soon too. I might be able to get by with the broken products for now. So yeah, this is a really pretty shade, and it's blending really easily, taking very little effort. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a smaller blending brush. This is a Sigma E42, and I'm gonna go into Organized AF, that really, really dark green, and I pick up a little bit of that. There's a lot of kick up, by the way, which doesn't bother me. I can wipe it off, and I'd rather have fallout in the pan than on my face, but it is something to note, because I know a lot of people really hate that. So I'm gonna brush this on my lash line on the outer V a little bit and add a little bit of dimension. Just deepen it up and hope that I don't get any fallout, because my face is already done. Yeah, so it's a really interesting green, because it looks almost black in the pan. And it's a little bit of a blue green. So it's gonna pair well with both the blue and the bluish purple shade, because as I'm blending it in against my skin tone, it's looking a little more dark blue than it is dark green. And I just realized the last look that I did on this channel was also greens, because it was the Plant Gay palette, which has been my most popular video so far, which I'm really proud of. And I wish I would have been able to get some more stuff done, but the trip was definitely worth being unproductive for. Okay, so this is blending out really nicely. I'm gonna go back into the other brush, which was an E38 from Sigma, my go-to blending brush for more of a soft blend. And I'm just gonna try and blend these two together, because there's a little bit of patchiness right here, but that's not uncommon when you first start to blend them. Yeah, that's already going away. It's that like streakiness as you first start to blend the darker shade that I get. That happens to me a lot, at least. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and repeat that on the other eye real quick. Okay, so that looks really nice so far, and it definitely is looking more blue once I added the Organized AF shade. So to keep with the mattes for now, I'm gonna now go into Sympathetic, which is this bluey purple shade down here. I'm gonna put that on my lower lash line, and then I'm gonna take Organized AF again and put it on the outer V to blend everything together. Coming back to Seattle last night was quite the shock as far as like temperatures too. It was in the 80s the whole time we were in New York. And then last night we got back here and it was 65. It was like a good 20 degrees cooler here. I was glad I didn't fly in shorts because the plane was cold, but I didn't have a jacket, so it was a very cold trip home. That's very pigmented and very pretty. So even though vaccination rates are really high in Seattle, they're not as high outside of the city itself, and so masks are mandatory statewide again anytime you're indoors. But New York was, mask suggested for some places. Some businesses had it required. The subway, of course, was required, which I'm fine with because there's lots of people. But it was nice to just be able to go to a bar and be like, here's my vaccine card, and go in and not have to deal with it. But like, obviously I'll wear a mask if I need to. But it was interesting to like not have to as much for a few days. It felt kind of normal. Like it was like life was somewhat normal again for the first time in a while. So yeah, these shades are really pigmented with a dense packing brush like this one. Like that is packing on very well out there. So I'm just gonna repeat that on this eye real quick and then move on to the shimmers. Okay, so this is very dark and dramatic so far, which is fine. Kind of figured it would be based on the color story. But they're blending out really nicely. So far I'm pretty impressed, especially for the $9 price tag. That's like so good. It's not perfect right here in the outer corner, but that can also be my eyes. Sometimes they water a lot. But yeah, this Organized AF shade looks pretty green right here, like gray green. But like once it's on my skin, at least for my olive skin tone, it looks very blue. Okay, so that looks really good. I might need to use concealer to clean up the edge right there a little bit, but that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some glitter glue on my lid and then try out these shimmers. I'm thinking of doing a gradient with all three. So putting Sporty on the inner corner and then these two on the lid. But we'll see. So I've got my NYX glitter primer here, and the brush I use for it, it's just a little flat Morphe brush. And I'm gonna tap that on my lid. I use this for most shimmers. It helps them last longer, and it tends to help them be a little more intense. I'm not being too precise. I'm not trying to make it look like a perfect cut crease or anything, but just tapping it all over this area up to my actual crease. Okay, so the Sapphire shade looks a little darker than the Cool shade, so I think I'm gonna put a little Sapphire out here, Cool here, and then Sporty on the inner corner and see how that works. So I'm gonna try picking this up with, this is another flat Morphe brush. This is a 124. I have two, and I use one for the glitter glue and one for the shadows normally. That picks up decently. I'm gonna put that right here. That looks really pretty so far. Okay. I might put a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well to brighten that up a little bit. So I'm just kind of rubbing that diagonally along my lash line out here, kind of in a wing shape. And then I'm gonna go in with the other side of the brush and pick up Cool. That picks up even better. That's very bright. And I'm gonna pat that all over the inner half of the lid. That's very blue and very pretty. So I think people thought this would be the Sapphire shade, basically. But I like that they did something a little different. Yeah, that's really pretty and looks very, especially on camera, the blue is very vibrant. But it looks really good in person too. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat that on the other side and then try putting Sporty on the inner corner and inner third. Okay, so that looks really good. That went on really easily. So now I'm gonna try Sporty, which is kind of a silver with a bit of a blue to it. It looks pretty just plain silver here, but when swatched, it definitely has a little bit of a blueness to it and iciness. So it definitely is fully into fall here in Seattle now. Like I said, it was in the 80s the whole time we were in New York, which fall in New York is my favorite time. Like when it's crisp and it's not as humid anymore, it's so perfect. but it's definitely already cloudy and 60s and stuff here, which I'm a little sad for. I like fall, but I like summer more. I definitely thrive with the sun, and fall in Seattle is very gray, so not prepared for that. I did buy a happy light, so hopefully that helps and I'm not as depressed as last year. Although I was also stuck inside last year, so that, you know, makes a difference. I'm gonna brush this under here too, kind of connect everything. Yeah, this is a really pretty shade. Not a true silver, it's a little bit of blue, like I said. So are you more of a fall person or summer people? Because I feel like there's a very big, distinct camp if you like fall more or summer. I know a lot of people are already hyped and like ready for fall. One of the restaurants we ate at this weekend already had Halloween decorations up everywhere. So, and I know Deandra, the CEO of Divina, is all about the fall stuff, and she's been posting all kinds of Halloween decorations. And anytime I see I've seen a few fall memes that made me think of her. Okay, so this is probably a look I'm gonna have to use lashes with. And I'm gonna go back into that Sapphire shade and run a little bit down here too, just to brighten things up a little bit. I like a little bit of shimmer underneath my eye as well. Okay, so the mattes aren't perfect. Like, it's a little, didn't want to blend perfectly right here, no matter what I did. But overall, very nice, especially for the price. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera to finish my liner and mascara and all of that stuff, and maybe tidy up this edge with some concealer, and I will be right back. So I'm back, and this is the finished look. I'm really happy with the way this turned out, and it definitely looks more blue now that it's on my eyes and kind of melted in. Even the green and stuff have turned more blue. And I went ahead and added a light blue to my waterline from Haus Labs and my normal lashes. They were a bit of a struggle today. This one did not want to go on, but it's fine. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out, and I'm pleasantly surprised with the formulas here. I hear great things all the time. I know Angelique Nyquist talks about BH all the time. Cara C talks about BH all the time. The mattes in this were really pigmented. They blended really easily. The shimmers in here were really pretty and worked really well. I probably didn't need the glitter glue, it's just habit at this point. And everything worked together, and this color story is really interesting. So I'm really happy that I grabbed this, especially for the price. I think I paid $8 something for it. And I'm really happy I grabbed the Peridot one. I'm gonna use that maybe tomorrow or the next day for maybe something a little less dramatic since it's a little more neutral leaning. But I'm really excited to see what the quality in this one is like and compare the two. And if you have any BH palettes that you really recommend that you think I should try, let me know. I'm intrigued by the formula. I would say so far it's not my favorite formula, but it's really good. It's up there, especially for the price. So I'm intrigued to try more and compare and see what I think of other palettes and their formula in general. It's kind of hard to tell from one little palette. So let me know in the comments below if there's any you recommend. I know people really love the Blueberry Muffin and the new Paris one, and I definitely like those color stories a lot. But let me know if there's any you really recommend, especially because I know BH does sales pretty regularly. So if they do a sale soon where they do another like 20% off or 30% off, I see those all the time, then I might grab a couple and see what I think of the bigger palettes. Especially the travel series ones look really pretty. Also, let me know in the comments below what you think of the look. I'm really happy with it. I love blues. It's my birthstone. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Plus blue is my favorite color to wear. And it doesn't have to be this dramatic. So if you'd like to see something that's like blues in less dramatic ways, like more quote unquote wearable blue looks, let me know. That's something that I can definitely do. And even though I got some broken shadows in that ColourPop order, I might try to film that one tomorrow. I'm trying to think, I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things listed out that I want to do. And school starts back up again the day after my birthday, so the end of September. So while I have a little bit more free time, I want to get some more stuff done because once I have to start teaching, it's going to be a little bit harder and I'll be gone during the day more. So I hope you like this, and I hope everybody had a great week and has a great weekend, and I will see you all on my next video.